Hey guys, it's Study and welcome back to Comic Space. And if you already haven't heard it, today we are going to be talking about the bombshell of an update that was revealed by the Deadline just few days ago. In major update coming from Deadline, where they went on to reveal that Mouse Studios have pressed the pause button on 3 major production, including the 2 projects that we have talked frequently on the channel and more prominently that we have talked about, and that also included the Nova series, which Brad Winderbaum, who is the head of Marvel Animation and Streaming, and Kevin Feige, both of those guys have went on to confirm that they were working on a Nova series. But now that has been paused alongside another major project which we have been talking about and speculating quite widely about too, and that being the Strange Academy. So we have a lot of things to talk about. What is this update and what this exactly mean, and of course coming from an industry insider also of what Marvel Studios is trying to do with all of these projects and why they have decided to put them on hold. Of course, the initial update came from Deadline where they revealed that Mouse Studios have pressed the pause button on 3 major productions, which being the Nova, Strange Academy, and the Terror Ring. So the last one, Terror Ring project, we haven't really heard anything about it. Like, no one has been reporting on it, or no scoops that we have gotten. We didn't even know that Mouse Studios was working on a project like that. But again, we will circle back to it of what was happening with Terror Ring too. But of course, we got to talk about the Nova series, which is of course has been already confirmed that Mouse Studios has been working on it for quite some time now, on the script, on the pre-production for sure, and we have talked about bunch of times. We frequently go Nova with everything that has been going on with that series, and that is also looks to be in quite a prominent series when we head into the next saga, which we are all presuming to be the Mutant Saga and a part of the Cosmic Saga too, which is going to be in major setup towards the whatever the big next trade is going to be within the MCU coming from the cosmic side, and some much more needed clarification coming from Jeff Snyder from the Hot Mic podcast with what is happening with all of these projects. What I have heard from his sources about the Strange Academy project, and that there was a writer's room for it. The Nova project has been at works for some times, but his sources have never heard of Terror Inc. until it was revealed by the Deadline. The other significant news that you have heard about, there wasn't going to be a Strange Academy project, but there was going to be an X Academy show. The show potentially would have lead into the X-Men film, which again another thing to add on to it because it gets much more interesting with this one. He further said that someone else said that they would be surprised if they start doing an X-Men show before the live action X-Men film, and that it would probably be a spin-off of the film. So again, we have a lot of things to talk about with Strange Academy turn into the X Academy project, and with a lot of things going on that front, and of course Nova, which again the Nova series among all of these projects was the most concrete one because we have heard a lot of news about it. Of course, Brad Winderbaum and Kevin Feige also confirmed that they indeed had the Nova series in the progress. They had the sort of the outline of where they were going to be going on it. The Annihilus was probably going to be the part of it, played by even Henry Cavill. That was the rumors that has been going on for some time, which again, it is kind of surprising to me that they are not moving forward with Nova project, which again, they were in the very early process of making that show work. They weren't green lit yet. They weren't about to get into the production of any of these shows. They were just working on it and developing and see how they would work out. And of course, with the Nova series, it makes sense that they would be moving forward. But the plans might be scrapped. They might circle back to the Nova series. They already have done that. Years ago, they had started working on the Nova project, but they scrapped it and they started doing it over again. And of course, leading into the next saga and introducing Richard Rider. But for sure, they're eventually going to be circling back to it. I'm pretty sure that Nova is probably going to be one of the major projects. And another major thing to talk about here is the Strange Academy project, and the whole thing just got so much more interesting and complex even, that one of his sources have said that there wasn't going to be a Strange Academy series, but was going to be an X Academy series. Which again, we have talked about Strange Academy for the longest time. We have talked about what that show potentially might be, with featuring Wong and America Chavez, and probably Doctor Strange if he comes back to the 616 continuity by that time. Which again, if they have pressed the pause button on the Strange Academy project, I'm also thinking that it probably was going to be a major series, but was that actually going to be part of the multiverse saga and the storyline that we have right now? Because I would also say that it is also much more about timing and when you can actually get that show out by the end of the multiverse saga, if that was the plan, and to integrate that storyline into the narrative of the multiverse, of course. But if that wasn't going to be the case and it was going to be a completely different thing on its own with Wong, with America Chavez, with Strange, Of course, Marvel Studios' number one priority is that they're about to head into the production for Avengers Doomsday. Thunderbolts are coming. Fantastic Four First Steps is going to be in major film. The major turning over of that Strange Academy project into an X Academy project, which is quite an intriguing update to talk about, of course. So, of course, we know that Marvel Studios has been working on their X-Men reboot for quite some time. We have talked about it. We have covered all of the things that comes with it. So that is happening, and it is probably going to be relatively coming out sooner than expected, and it might even coming back off as we are heading into the Secret Wars and come right after it. Maybe even in the same calendar year, which would be insane with Avengers Secret Wars coming out and with Marvel Studios X-Men reboot, which is just going to be as much as level of Secret Wars, of course. So it does looks like that after we are done with the Multiverse Saga and the Multiverse storyline, we are heading straight into the Mutant Saga with all of the X-Men stories, and X Academy 100% looks like a very promising project to work on. And again, I think it is also about timing that if they're actually going to be doing their X-Men reboot, the film comes out and just right after it, they do the spin-off show and live action spin-off show with the X Academy storyline. So which would make a lot of sense of how they're going to be moving forward with the X-Men storyline and putting other projects on hold right now, even if that does make sense and haven't quite in great potential. But again, Marvel Studios is also going to be very cautious when one thing is not really working out, or if they are not really reaching to a great idea of what that project might be. And the Multiverse Saga at some part wasn't quite in roller coaster for the fans, for Marvel Studios themselves. A lot of things happened. They're also going to be very cautious of about what ideas and what storylines that they're going to be following and how they're actually going to be adapting them, because Marvel Studios output is a lot more than what they did with the Infinity Saga for sure, and their major focus being on Disney Plus and how they're going to be handling that side of the Marvel television especially. And again, we also need to talk about Terror Inc. a little bit here, and I don't know what to talk about because we haven't heard whatsoever anything about it. And that project even came to the light when Deadline revealed that it was paused. But again, it could be one of those projects that Marvel Studios was working out ideas around it, and they were in very early process with that project, and they were still figuring out if that can actually work out. And again, with all of these projects, Strange Academy, Terror Inc., and even Nova, they were in very early development. None of these projects were getting close to the production. And of course, I think Nova had a lot more ground because it was also confirmed by Brad Winterbaum and Kevin Feige. Yes, they were working on it, but again, it is going to be quite some time before they actually figure it out. So again, I think it is time for me to see you guys off on this one. I'm so glad that you guys got the time to hear me out. Thanks for listening to me. This is your host, Ali, signing off. See you in the next one.